Hi, today I will have the opportunity to talk about this story that is The Old Man and the Sea. And this story starts talking about Santiago. Santiago was a fisherman, and this fisherman was suffering a hard situation because he had 84 days without catching a fish. Every day when he traveled to the ocean, he spent a lot of time there, but when he arrived to the coast, in all day he didn't have the opportunity to catch fish. For that reason, all the people describe him as an unlucky fisherman. And into the story, you can see that Santiago had a really good friend, and the name of his friend was Manolin. Manolin was a young boy that was working with him in the past, but he was not working with him anymore because Manolin's father said to him that he cannot work with him because Santiago was an unlucky fisherman. So that Manolin was working with a new fisherman. Even though Manolin was not working with Santiago anymore, Manolin spent a lot of time with Santiago because they were friends and they had that friendship, and they spent a lot of time together talking about many things. And you can see that Manolin was a really good boy that was always trying to help the old man, because in many situations you can see that Manolin invited him to eat, and he gave him some food, and he gave him some things that he can use when he is trying to fish. So you can see that Manolin was a really good friend, and they have a really good friendship. One day, they were talking about a plan that Santiago had, and the plan was that he would travel to deep waters, and there he would try to catch a big fish. So that night they were taking dinner because Manolin gave him some dinner, and he gave him some food, and for that reason they spent that night eating and talking about life lessons. They were talking about baseball because they spent a lot of time talking about baseball, and they used to talk about a player that was DiMaggio. And that day they were talking about this plan, but when they finished to eat, they went to the bed, and Manolin said to him that he needs to wake up early the next day. And for that reason, the next day in the morning, Santiago woke up him very early, and Manolin tried to help him because he was prepared to travel to the deep waters because he would try to catch a big fish. So for that reason, Manolin gave him some things that he can use in the future. He gave him some sardines and some bait. So when Santiago was into the deep waters, he lived many experiences, and in those experiences he had the opportunity to see some flying birds, some dolphins, and he had the opportunity to see some seabirds. And when he had the opportunity to see those seabirds, he followed those birds because for him it was like a guide, and he arrived to a place that for him was like the special place where he will have the opportunity to catch a big fish. So in that moment you can see that the old man put all the baits into the ocean, and he just waited. And when he was waiting, and some moments later, he felt that something took the bait, and he started to fight with that, and he started to fight with the fish that was under the ocean. And the fish was pretty big. It was a marlin, and he spent a lot of days and he spent a lot of energies trying to kill the marlin. So one day he had the opportunity to kill the marlin, and he put it into his boat. But when he had the opportunity to put the marlin into his boat, he realized that he was very weak, and he realized that his hands were bleeding. So for that reason he was a little bit afraid, but he was really sure that he can return to the coast again. So when he was trying to return to the coast, he saw that many sharks were following him because the fish was bleeding. So for that reason, in that moment, the old man fought with the sharks that were there, and he spent a lot of days there fighting with the sharks. And you can see that the sharks ate all the marlin that he had in his boat, but he had the opportunity to arrive to the coast again. When he was in the coast, all the people were surprised because they didn't believe that a big skeleton was near to Santiago's boat, and all the people believed that that skeleton was a shark skeleton, but it was not, because it was the skeleton of the marlin. But all the people were surprised. So in that moment you can see that Manolín saw Santiago again, and he was very happy, and he was very worried about him because he spent a lot of times into the ocean. And in that moment Santiago looked very weak, and he looked very tired. And you can see that at the end of the story, this is the end of the story, you can see that Manolín promised him that he will work with him again, and that was the promise that he made to Santiago. And he said to Santiago that he need to relax and that he need to rest a lot. And you can see that at the end is Manolín tried to help him again, and he gave him a cup of coffee, and he was trying to look for the newspaper of the day. And that is the end of the story. Something that you can see is that Manolín is very important into the story, and I really like this character. And this character just appears in at the beginning and at the end of the story, but you can see that this character is very important because Manolín is a boy that is always helping Santiago. And in this case I feel that this character is like the real friendship, and it also symbolizes love, pure, and compassion, because he's always helping this old man. Because at the beginning you can see that he invites him to eat, he invites him to take dinner, and he's always giving some things like sardines, baits, and he's always giving him coffee, the newspaper, and he's always spending time with him, talking about baseball, talking about lessons life. And even though he's not working with him anymore, he's spending time with him, and he's worried about this old man. And for that reason this character is very important. At the end of the story you can see that he's there again, and he's very worried because the old man spent a lot of time into the ocean. And when he saw the old man, he was very surprised and he was very happy. And that is something that you can see. He's very good with the old man, and he's always trying to help him. Even though they are not family, they have a really good friendship, and for that reason this Manolín is a really good character. And that is something that we can learn about. This character. You can see that in many situations we have the opportunity to help someone, but we don't do it. And you can see that this character teaches us that if you help someone, it will be very nice with you, because you will have the opportunity to feel that you have a really good friend and that you're doing something good. And Manolín teaches us that you have to help someone even though it is not your family, even though it is not the same age as you. But in this case you can see that he is always helping him, and he is helping him with few things, but important things as food, and talking with him, and some things that many people appreciate in real life. and that you can do, and that you cannot spend a lot of money, and that you cannot spend a lot of things, but what you just need to spend in some cases is the time, and that is really value for many people. And sometimes we need to spend that time to listen someone else, and that is something that Manolin does into the story. And that's why Manolin is very important in this story, because show us is love, compassion, and a really good friendship between this old man and Manolin.